The topic we're going to be learning today is an intermediate grammar form, and it is 되다가. So the way you make it is you take a verb and you conjugate it into an adjective, and then you add a space here, and then 되다가. Most of the time you'll see it with 되다가, but 가 is optional. So you could also see 되다. So you change a verb, whether that verb is an action verb or a descriptive verb, into an adjective. Then you add a space, and then you attach 되다가. So 하다, to do, would become 하는 space 되. 춥다, to be cold, would become 추운 space 되. This 되 means a work, like some sort of thing that happens, or a case, or even like a thing. Let's take 하다, for example. So if we have 하는데, literally the thing or the case that you're doing something, or the job of doing something. Let's say if this was studying. So studying, the task of studying. That's what this form literally means to start with. And 다가 means on top of, not in the literal sense of on top of, but in the figurative sense of in addition to, on top of something. So if we put these together, we get in addition to the thing or the task of doing whatever verb it is. Or if it's a descriptive verb, in addition to the thing of being, descriptive verb. What this form literally means is in addition to, or on top of, or onto, doing an action verb. Or if it's a descriptive verb, being that descriptive verb. So if we do studying, 공부하다, 공부하는 데다가, in addition to studying, or if we were to do to be cold, like the weather is cold or you feel cold, 춥다, 추운 데다가, in addition to being cold, on top of being cold, that sort of meaning. But to clarify it a little bit more, you use it whenever what you need to say after the first part of the sentence makes some sort of big difference. It's only used for something when you need to say, in addition to A, something else. And this something else, this B, actually makes a big difference. So you wouldn't say something that's really similar to it, right? You wouldn't say like, oh, in addition to being ripped here, my jacket's also ripped here. It just sounds unnecessary. This is only used when you're trying to say some extra piece of information that actually makes a big difference. So yes, A, so doing something or is something, a descriptive verb, but also B, and in fact, B makes a big difference. That's how it's used. And keep in mind that A and B should both be either positive or negative, something good or something bad. You don't want to say, my foot hurts, and in addition to my foot hurting, I won the lottery. Like, what? They should both have the same tone. If one of them is good, the other should be good or positive. If one of them is bad or negative, the other one should be the same. How is this form used then? Do you just say on top of being pretty, she is also smart? 똑똑한 데다가 예뻐요. You can say sentences like this. 똑똑한 데다가 예뻐요. In addition to being smart, 예뻐요, she's pretty. This is not the most common way this 되다가 form gets used. Most of the time, this whole form is used in a sentence as an explanation or the reason for something else. This 되다가 form, therefore, is used in a because sentence. So you could say something like this. Because she is pretty, on top of being smart, she was able to get a very prestigious job at a very famous company. Something like that. Because. But this form, 되다가, is used to show the reason for something. Although the form itself is not a because form. So again, this form is used when you're giving the reason or an explanation for something. And you're giving more than one reason. So you're saying in addition to something. So this is the reason, but also this is the reason. 이 식당은, so this restaurant, 식당 meaning restaurant. 맛있다, literally to be delicious, but to taste good. So this restaurant, in addition to tasting delicious, so in addition to being really good, on top of that, or in addition to that, 가깝다 means to be close. So it's close. 이 식당은 맛있는 데다가, so on top of this restaurant being delicious or tasting good, 가까워서, it is close. And because of that, 자주 가요. I go there often. So I go to that restaurant often because on top of tasting good, it's also close. So here we have an A, 맛있어요, it tastes good. B, 가까워요, it's close. So we have A, it tastes good. But even, it's close. And that makes a big difference. 이 식당은 맛있는 데다가 가까워서 자주 가요. So I go to that restaurant often because on top of being delicious, it's close by. 이 식당은 맛있는 데다가 가까워서 자주 가요. 홍삼은 맛있는 데다가 몸에도 좋아서 매일 먹고 있어요. So 홍삼, on top of tasting delicious, it is also good for your body. Therefore, I am eating it every day. It's a literal translation. It helps to go backward when you're translating. So I'm eating every day. I'm eating 홍삼 every day. And then go to the rest of it. Because not only, or in addition to, tasting good, it's also good for your body. 홍삼은 맛있는 데다가 몸에도 좋아서 매일 먹고 있어요. So I'm eating 홍삼 every day because not only is it delicious, but it's also good for me. Literally good for my body, or good for my health, if you want to say. Okay. 저는 I, 두꺼운 옷을 입은 데다가 on top of having worn, on top of putting on thick clothes, 장갑도 껴서 I also wore gloves, so therefore 춥지 않아요. I'm not cold. I don't feel cold because on top of wearing thick clothes, I also put on gloves. 저는 두꺼운 옷을 입은 데다가 장갑도 껴서 춥지 않아요. So I'm not cold because I put on gloves on top of, past tense, on top of that I wore, on top of I put on thick clothing. 저는 I, 영양제를 매일 먹는 데다가 on top of taking or eating everyday supplements, on top of that, in addition to that, 운동도 하고 있어서, so I'm also exercising, 건강해요. So because of that, I am healthy. So I'm healthy because I am taking supplements every day, and on top of that, on top of taking supplements every day, I'm also exercising. 운동도, literally even exercise. 하고 있어서, because I am also doing exercise on top of eating everyday supplements. So 저는 영양제를 매일 먹는 데다가 운동도 하고 있어서 건강해요. So I am healthy because on top of taking supplements every day, I am also doing exercise. 오늘까지 시험 기간인데다가 과제도 많아서 잠을 못 잤어요. 과제가 많아서, because there was a lot of assignments. 시험 기간인데다가, on top of it being exam season, or literally test period. So up until today, it was exam season. And on top of that, there was also a lot of assignments. So because of that, I couldn't sleep. So I haven't been able to sleep lately because on top of it being exam season up until today, I also had a lot of assignments. 오늘까지 시험 기간인데다가 과제도 많아서 잠을 못 잤어요. So I couldn't sleep because on top of it being exam season, I also had a lot of assignments. 휴일이라서, because it's a holiday, 식당들이 열지 않은 데다가, so the restaurants 열지 않은데, they didn't open, past tense. It's not saying they're not opening, but they didn't open. So the restaurants did not open because it's a holiday. On top of the restaurants not opening because it's a holiday, 시간이 너무 늦어서, because it is too late. Literally, because the time is too late. So it's too late. Now, on top of the fact that because it's a holiday, the restaurants didn't open their doors, 문을 연 곳이, literally a place that opened, 열다, past tense, 연, 없었어요. There wasn't any 곳, any place that opened their doors because it's late. on top of the fact that the restaurants didn't open their doors because it's a holiday. So 휴일이라서 식당들이 열지 않은 데다가 시간이 너무 늦어서 문을 연 곳이 없었어요. So there wasn't any place that was open. Literally, there wasn't any place that opened its doors because on top of the fact that the restaurants didn't open because it's a holiday, it was also too late. But we are not done with the live stream for today. We still have one more topic we have to cover, and that is 에다가. 에다가 is a combination of the particle 에 with 다가. However, this particle 에 here is not used in the regular way that you're familiar with using 에. This is not used to show where something is going. For example, I would say 집에 가요. I go literally to my house. I go to home. This is not that 에. This is also not the 에 that you use to say 집에 있어요. It is at the house. It's not used to show the location that something or someone goes to. It's not used also to show the location that something or someone exists at. It is used to emphasize the place that something goes to, but not movement. I'll give you an example. 우체통에 넣어주세요. So please put it in to the 우체통. 우체통 means mailbox. You could also say this. 우체통에다가 넣어주세요. Please put it into the mailbox. So what does this 다가 mean? It emphasizes that meaning of into, onto, but it shows emphasis where something is happening, where something is going to. So where something is going to affect. Let me give you another example. Someone asks you to sign a paper. They could say 여기에다가 쓰세요. Literally write it. 쓰세요. Onto here. You're not just saying 여기에 쓰세요. You're not just saying here, write it here. You're saying 여기에다가, write it onto here. So it adds more emphasis to the location where that is happening. Writing. So write it here. So what it is it's 에다가, but just like before, 가 is optional. 다가 doesn't add anything you can't already do with 에. It just emphasizes like 에. This is the location where you're going to do that. Also, if you're using these words, 여기, 거기, 저기, and 어디, then you can use 에다가 a little bit differently. These words, 에 is optional. Anytime you have 에 after 여기, 거기, 저기, or 어디, it becomes completely optional in any form. So you could just attach 여기, 다, 가, or even 여기다. 여기다 쓰세요. Please write it onto here. That has the same meaning as saying 여기에 쓰세요. 여기에다가 쓰세요. 여기에다 쓰세요. So there's one more thing you can use 에다가 for. You can also use it just like we had our previous form. In addition to noun. Literally, like saying on top of, in addition to that noun. So let me give you an example. 출산에다가, so on top of, in addition to, giving birth, 여동생 결혼식까지, even my younger sister's wedding. On top of giving birth, there's also my younger sister's wedding ceremony. 겹치다 means to overlap. So started to do my Arnold Schwarzenegger, my poor Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. 출산에다가 여동생 결혼식까지. I don't know how Arnold Schwarzenegger would speak Korean, but probably be something like that. 겹쳐서. So it overlaps. So my younger sister's wedding is overlapping on top of giving birth. So on top of giving birth, there's also my younger sister's wedding, which overlaps that. So because of that, 정신이 없어요. 정신이 없다 is just an expression that means you've lost it. Like you can't focus. So like, I'm so busy, I can't focus because on top of having to give birth, literally on top of giving birth, it's also overlapping with even my younger sister's wedding. So my younger sister's wedding is overlapping on top of giving birth. So because of that, 정신이 없어요. 출산에다가 여동생 결혼식까지 겹쳐서 정신이 없어요. You also might be wondering about 게다가. It comes from the same thing. What 게다가 is 거기에다가. on top of that, in addition to that. And it is used at the start of a sentence. So this is not a grammar form. And what it means is in addition, or furthermore, or and what's more, literally 거기에다가, and on top of that, 게다가, furthermore, in addition, and wow, $20 donation.
Since you donated $20, I shall do the Arnold dabs.
Can you get 20 Arnold dabs? Thank you, Carrie. That is our lesson for today. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. I'm gonna ask this lady what she's doing. Excuse me. Yeah, what are you doing? You okay? Hello? She's asleep, guys. She just fell asleep like this.